King Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded at the Bishopbriggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QNReview. That is @ CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QNreview.com. That is INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 13th of March 2025, from the news section, secret hero who helped foil airport attack dies. A secret hero who risked his life to foil the Glasgow airport terror attack has died aged 59. Stephen Clarkson was picking up a family member from the airport on June the 30th, 2007, when two terrorists drove a jeep packed with petrol and gas canisters into a terminal building. The builder, from Pennylee, took down one of the bombers with a wee 4-ram smash as he was fighting off police officers and attempting to open the car's boot, according to reports. Mr. Clarkson was one of 7 men who risked their lives and potentially saved hundreds of passengers and staff at the airport. Mr. Clarkson's elder brother David said that he died in a hospice in the city on Sunday, 5 months after being diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma, a cancer that affects the bile ducts. David recalls the moment Stephen told him what unfolded. He said, "We've been working nearby and he said he'd been away half an hour. Later he phoned me to say why he was late back and said, I think I've just decked a suicide bomber." When urged to share his story by his family, Stephen stated, "I don't bother with that." Stephen was awarded the Queen's Commendation for Bravery in 2010. And that article is unattributed, read by E. McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 13th of March 2025, from the news section, fall in ATM use revealed in Glasgow areas. This article is unattributed. New figures show that North Glasgow has seen a 64% decline in ATM withdrawals since the COVID pandemic. The data from Link, the UK's cash access and ATM network, shows the full scale of how fast Scotland has moved away from cash since the pandemic began. The numbers show how every Scottish constituency has seen a significant fall in the total value of cash withdrawn from ATMs. Across the country, in 2019, £11.9 billion was withdrawn from ATMs, compared to £7.5 billion in 2024, a 36.7% fall. This means people in Scotland are withdrawing £12 million less from ATMs every day compared to before the pandemic. However, Link data shows that the average withdrawal value has increased from £65 to £85 over the same time period, suggesting that people are visiting ATMs less, but when they do, they take out more cash. North Glasgow is the area that has seen the 4th fastest decline in ATM cash withdrawals, with a 64% decline. North East Glasgow and Rutherglen were in 12th, both seeing a 41% decrease. The total cash withdrawn from ATMs has fallen in every constituency across Scotland, with the average constituency withdrawing £1.1 million less every week than before the pandemic. The fastest move away from cash has been in city centres and more affluent constituencies. Yet, despite the change in consumer behaviour, Link insists that cash remains critical to high streets across the country. In the quietest and most remote constituencies, over £9.6 million was still withdrawn from Link ATMs every month last year. In total, £7.5 billion was withdrawn across Scotland last year, with surveys showing that around 5 million people across the UK still depend on cash. Nick Quinn, Head of Financial Inclusion at Link, said, "COVID changed how we live, how we work, and, for many people, how we manage our cash. Cash use remains popular, We still withdrew £250 million a day in 2024. The fact that areas which are more deprived are moving away from cash more slowly is a timely reminder that we cannot afford to leave anyone behind, and that we need to focus more on digital inclusion as part of how technology is rolled out across the UK. The author of that article is uncredited, and it was read by me, Ian. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 13th of March 2025, from the news section, first bus ticket fares to rise in Glasgow within weeks. Report by Stuart Patterson. Bus fares are going up in Glasgow this month. First Bus, the city's biggest bus operator, is increasing the cost of a range of tickets. The firm is raising the cost of popular tickets including Adult Day, 2-Trip and weekly tickets from March the 30th. A monthly pass will rise by 10%. Adult Day city/local tickets will move from £5.60 to £5.90. 2-Trip city/local tickets are increasing from £5.20 to £5.60, and Adult Week city/local tickets will go from £22.50 to £24.50. The bus company said that it is necessary to meet inflationary pressures as rising fuel and maintenance costs continue to impact the price of operations. Single tickets and First Unlimited tickets will also increase. The cheapest adult single fare will rise from £2 to £2.10, while a £2.95 single fare will go up to £3.10. A First Unlimited monthly ticket will rise by 10% from £63 to £69.30. First said this is investing heavily in the running of its network, electrifying its Glasgow fleet with more new electric buses entering the network in the coming weeks. It said while it knows a fare rise will not be popular, it will continue to invest in services. Graham McFarlane, Commercial Director for First Bus Scotland, said, "We know that a fare increase is never welcome news, and we always want to keep ticket prices as low as possible. However, the reality is that we, like other transport operators, are facing substantial inflationary pressures across the board. We want our customers to know that we will continue to invest in our operations. Our end goal is always to keep improving services and make sure that our passengers can access reliable public transport. Bus is one of the cheapest, most practical and green ways to travel. By introducing new electric buses and new ways to make our timetables more efficient, we're working hard to make Glasgow's bus network a comfortable and eco-friendly way of getting from A to B." Last month, the Glasgow Times reported how First said congestion cost the business £10 million a year to maintain service levels. And that report was written by Stuart Patterson and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 13th of March, from the news section, man arrested as police reportedly seize £150,000 drugs during raid. Report by Amy Miles. A man has been arrested after police reportedly seized £150,000 worth of drugs. Officers discovered the haul, which allegedly included cocaine and benzocaine, at an address in Hoyt Street, Wishaw. The 28-year-old was charged following the raid and is due to appear at Hamilton Sheriff Court on March 13th. Detective Superintendent Steve Elliott said, "Illegal drugs cause such suffering to families and communities, and we remain determined to dismantle drugs networks. Anyone with information or concerns about drugs should contact Police Scotland on 101 or make a call to the charity Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. Article written by Amy Miles and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 13th of March 2025, from the news section. Sturgeon will not seek re-election to Holyrood next year. Report by Stuart Patterson. Nicola Sturgeon has announced she will not seek re-election as an MSP next year. The former First Minister will bring to an end a parliamentary career that started with her election to the newly reconvened Scottish Parliament in 1999 as a Glasgow MSP. Sturgeon became Deputy First Minister to Alex Salmond in 2007 when the SNP won its first Holyrood election, and has been in government ever since until she announced her resignation as First Minister in 2023. She served as First Minister and SNP leader between 2014 and 2023, overseeing a hugely successful election period at Holyrood and Westminster for the SNP. Sturgeon has been the SNP MSP for Glasgow South Side since 2011, and before that for Govan since 2007. She was a list MSP for the Glasgow region between 1999 and 2007. There has been speculation over her future as an MSP since she resigned as First Minister, and the police investigation into SNP finances during which she was arrested for questioning before being released without charge in June 2023. Sturgeon has said she wants to embrace new opportunities. She is currently writing a book about her time in politics and is appearing at the Glasgow Comedy Festival with crime writer Val McDermott. It will be the first Holyrood election since 1999 that the former First Minister will not be standing. In a letter to her Southside constituency branch, Sturgeon told her party she has known for a while it was time to step down. She wrote, "I am writing to let you know that I have decided not to seek re-election to the Scottish Parliament next year. Reaching this decision has been far from easy. However, I have known in my heart for a while that the time is right for me to embrace different opportunities in a new chapter of my life and to allow you to select a new standard bearer. Whoever you choose will have my full support, and I will look forward to campaigning alongside you to ensure that Glasgow South Side remains an SNP-held constituency." She added that she will continue to campaign for Scottish independence. Sturgeon added, "To my constituents, past and present, thank you for the trust you have placed in me. Being your MSP has been my privilege, and I will continue to represent you to the best of my abilities until I step down next year. To the Southside SNP members, your support, loyalty and friendship, through thick and thin, has meant more to me than you'll ever know. You're the best of the best. To SNP members across the country, I may be leaving Parliament, but I will be by your side every step of the way as we complete our journey into independence." And that article was written by Stuart Patterson and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 13th of March 2025, from the news section, 3 people arrested for drink or drug driving in East Renfrewshire. Report by Aidan MacDonald. 3 people have been arrested for driving under the influence in East Renfrewshire. Last weekend, a 67-year-old woman and 2 men, aged 69 and 29, were all arrested for drink or drug driving and reported to the courts. A statement from Police Scotland said, "Last weekend, officers stopped 3 vehicles in East Renfrewshire with drivers unfit to drive through alcohol or drugs. A 67-year-old female, a 69 and a 29-year-old male were all arrested during separate incidents and have been reported to the courts." And that article was written by Aidan MacDonald.
This is from the Glasgow Times on Friday 14th March 2025, from the news section. Glasgow catering team full of beans after winning top award. An exclusive by Anne Fotheringham. The humble bean has helped a team of city catering staff to win a prestigious award. Glasgow City Council's Full of Beans campaign, which highlights the benefits of beans and pulses as part of a healthy, plant-friendly diet, picked up a special prize at the Scottish School Food Awards. The council's catering team, who feed 37,000 children daily across the city, collaborated with the Glasgow Food Policy Partnership, Soil Association Scotland and Glasgow Community Food Network to run the initiative. In addition to training sessions showcasing new bean-based recipes, including a bean wrap and butterbean macaroni cheese with cowboy beans, and tasting sessions with high school pupils, The campaign team ran workshops for more than 100 primary school pupils who took part in planting bean seeds, making badges and playing games. Stephen Sawyers, Head of Catering and Facilities Management at Glasgow City Council, said the aim of the Full of Beans campaign was to highlight how simple something as nutritious as beans and pulses can be tasty and cost-effective, and a route to a more nutritious diet that supports a sustainable food system. Small changes can have a big impact, and we have seen how this innovative campaign has had a positive impact on our pupils' health and well-being. He added, "We are overjoyed to receive this prestigious accolade." Rilka Gonzalez, Sustainable Food Places Coordinator for the Glasgow Food Policy Partnership, said, "The campaign team partnered with restaurants, chefs, caterers, community projects and growing spaces to spread the joy of beans. This award is not only a major achievement of the school catering service, but can also help improve the health of school children in Glasgow." Sarah Dooley, Head of Food at Soil Association Scotland, said, "The Full of Beans initiative demonstrates the power of collaboration between young people, schools and local partners to create a lasting change and inspire healthier, more sustainable food choices for young people." She added, "We look forward to the continued success of Full of Beans and encourage local authorities to connect with our team to explore similar projects." That article was an exclusive by Anne Fotheringham. This is from the Glasgow Times on Friday, 14th March 2025. From the News section. Knoxland Primary wins Aquarian trip for top art entry. By Sandhya Suresh. A West Dunbartonshire school has won a trip to an aquarium after coming first in an art competition. The competition, run by environmental charity Keep Scotland Beautiful, was aimed at getting young people to think about the effects of litter on the sea. Knoxland Primary School was named the winner and will now visit the Sea Life Loch Lomond Aquarium in Balloch, as well as being given a certificate. The competition was part of the charity's Upstream Battle campaign and focused on the Aracher litter sink, encouraging children to think about how litter in their area ends up there and affects the environment. Entries were invited from primary, early years and ASN schools across 11 authority areas in the Clyde Valley, Ayrshire and Aracher, with 9 out of more than 90 entries making it to the exhibition showcase. The judging took place on March 11th at the Three Villages Hall in Aracher, with a panel that included representatives from HP Inc., the Sea Life Loch Lomond Aquarium and the organising charities. Paul Wallace, Head of Operations at Keep Scotland Beautiful, said, "Congratulations to Knoxland Primary School for taking the top prize and to all the finalists. Well done. It was inspiring to see all your entries, which clearly show just how much the younger generation care about our marine environment. With 80% of marine litter coming from land, it is crucial that we all understand just how far litter dropped can travel and the devastating impact it can have on coastal communities and wildlife around Scotland. We all need to remember that what is dropped inland can blow, flow, or find its way to waterways and travel to the sea." Cassia Clark, a P7 pupil at Knoxland, said, "We're delighted to have won. Our project was The Journey of a Crisp Packet, and it was about when someone litters and the impact it has when it goes to Aracher and joins the big pile of rubbish." The other 8 finalists were Gairlochhead Primary School, Kilcreggan Primary School, Aracher Primary School, Moss Head Primary School, Morningside Primary School, West Coates Primary School, Burnside Primary School and Newfield Primary School. That article was by Sanjaya Suresh. This is from the Glasgow Times on Friday 14th March 2025 from the News section. New timetable set for East Renfrewshire bus route by Sanjaya Suresh. A new timetable is set to be introduced on the 4A bus corridor in East Renfrewshire. First Glasgow has decided to implement the amended timetable due to ongoing service disruptions and to better reflect traffic conditions on the route. The revised timetable will come into effect from April 20th. It will be available on First Glasgow's website closer to the implementation date, and bus stop information will also be updated. This move comes after Jackson Carlaw, MSP for Eastwood, raised concerns about significant delays and cancellations to Eaglesham services. First Glasgow admitted that the performance of the 4A has been below the standards passengers rightly expect. The new timetable aims to provide a more reliable service for bus users. The frequency of the service is said to remain unchanged, but the company is allocating additional running time for the revised timetable. It is believed this change will make the 4A route more dependable. Mr. Carlaw said, "In recent months, I have been contacted by an increasing number of constituents about what appears to be a further significant decline in the performance and reliability of bus services for Eaglesham. The village of Eaglesham is not served by a local train station, and this means it is even more important for my constituents to have dependable bus services. Regrettably, the 4A has failed to provide reliable public transport for residents in Eaglesham on far too many occasions, and the ongoing difficulties have to be addressed to bring about an improvement in service delivery. I have made multiple representations to First Glasgow to stress the need for the company to review the 4A service and take steps to make it more dependable. Whilst the revised timetable is unlikely to be a silver bullet for all the challenges experienced with the 4A, it is important that the changes to take effect in April and in accordance with road traffic conditions can provide a more reliable service for Eaglesham. The performance of the 4A and how to enhance the service must be continually reviewed." That article was by Sanjaya Suresh.
From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 15th of March 2025, from the news section. Driver who reversed down lane of M8 loses Glasgow private hire bid. Report by local democracy reporter Drew Sandilands. A private hire driver who was banned after reversing down the middle lane of the motorway has lost his bid to work in Glasgow. Police Scotland objected to Nitsanet McConnan's application to become a private hire driver in the city due to his conviction. Officers caught him driving dangerously near to junction 21 of the M8 in September 2021, and he was later disqualified from getting behind the wheel for 12 months, Glasgow's licensing committee heard. Mr McConnon, who said he previously worked as a private hire driver in South Lanarkshire, asked councillors to give him a second chance, but the committee decided to refuse his application, with Chairman Alex Wilson, SNP, saying, "Police Scotland found there was a need to pull you over and refer you to the sheriff because they were concerned about the way you were driving." A Police Scotland representative told the committee, "Police officers on mobile patrol witnessed the applicant drive his vehicle dangerously when he reversed down the middle lane of the 4-lane motorway. She added the force believed he's not a fit and proper person to be granted a private hire driver's licence. The applicant had said he had been driving in the country for 11 years and had no previous penalty points. He also suggested he had been reaching for a water bottle he had dropped in his car. Councillor Wilson said, "The minute you stop looking at the road and your surroundings, if you lose focus on what you're doing, you can cause your vehicle to get involved in an accident. That's dangerous driving." Mr. Mekinen has also been sentenced to 50 hours of unpaid work. And that article was written by Drew Sandilands and read by me, Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 15th of March 2025, from the news section. Man reported in connection after Glasgow cops seize illegal e-bike. Report by Nicole Mitchell. A man has been reported in connection with road traffic offences after police seized an e-bike. Local community officers seized the bike in Shettleston on Friday, March 14th, after it was spotted being ridden illegally on a public road. A 44-year-old man was reported in connection. Sharing news of the seizure on the Police Scotland Greater Glasgow Facebook page, they wrote, "These bikes, if ridden illegally, are more than just a nuisance on our roads. They are dangerous to both rider and members of the public. Your local community officers have a zero tolerance to these offences and will act with the full weight of the legislation whenever we see them." We previously reported the Glasgow Times was given the opportunity to join city centre officers on Tuesday, March the 4th, as they worked to tackle the use of illegal e-bikes and ensure cyclists are complying with the highway code. It comes after local residents have raised concerns regarding the speed of some e-bikes. In order to be legal, e-bikes must not exceed 15.5 miles per hour or 250 watts. Any bike that has been modified to exceed that speed is illegal and will be classified as a Category A motor vehicle, meaning it requires the driver to have a licence, helmet, insurance and lighting. If anyone caught with an illegal e-bike, it will be seized by the police. In December, we revealed 223 e-bikes were seized by police in the Greater Glasgow Division between October 2023 and September 2024. And that report was written by Nicole Mitchell and read by me, Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 15th of March 2025, from the news section. The gates closed at this Glasgow cemetery, and this is what happened. This article is an exclusive by Esther Tarnay. 1 year after a crackdown on a vandalism hotspot in Glasgow, police alerts have dropped significantly. Officers were called to Lambhill Cemetery, St Kentigern's and Western Necropolis only 10 times in 2024 and attended 5 of these reports, a Freedom of Information request, FOI, revealed. This is down more than 73% from the previous year, when cops were phoned 38 times and attended 15 of these. In 2022, 38 calls were received and police visited the site 16 times. The drastic reduction comes 1 year after the council decided to shut the entrances of the North Glasgow burial site every night to combat the frequent antisocial behaviour. In February 2024, the local authority revealed they would finally make the change, more than a year after initially announcing it. A council spokesperson said, "Steps to improve security at the cemetery have been taken with gates closed overnight and CCTV in place. We are relieved to see a reduction in incidents being reported. Any antisocial behaviour in a place of mourning and remembrance is completely unacceptable, and we share the anger felt by visitors and residents over the incidents that have taken place. If anyone has information about any of the incidents that have taken place recently, they should contact the police immediately." Robert Mooney, Canal Ward Councillor, said, "I'm delighted that the cemetery gates are now closed at night. It gives the community peace of mind knowing that their loved ones' graves will not be damaged or disrespected by people dumping cars or running over them in quad bikes. I'm pleased to say that I've not had any complaints since the gates have been closed at night. Since the new measures, residents reported 1 intruder, 3 public nuisances, 1 abandoned vehicle, 2 suspicious people and 1 theft. 1 999 call was abandoned or silent, and cops were asked to assist a member of the public on one occasion. These are considerably fewer incidents than previously. The Lamhill site was a hotspot for vandalism amongst other city graveyards. Between January the 1st and December 31st, 2024, 6 calls were made from Cardonald Cemetery and 3 were attended. In the same year, police received 4 reports from the Glasgow necropolis and attended 3, including a sudden death. To the southern necropolis, cops were called 3 times and went out to 2 of these. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "We work closely with our partners at Glasgow City Council to deter criminality and antisocial behaviour in our local communities. Those involved in these types of behaviour should have more respect for the surroundings they're in. Anyone with concerns should contact Police Scotland on 101. The Glasgow Times reported in June 2022 that a man tragically died after his quad bike crashed into a headstone. The 36-year-old, understood to be from Cadder, sustained serious injuries and was taken to the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, where he later died. Cops were also alerted to assaults, abandoned vehicles, disturbances, fires, theft, car crashes and more." And the article was an exclusive by Esther Tarnay, read by Ian.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 17th of March. Council warned against heavy-handed enforcement of parking ban. An article written by Jack Thompson. Renfrewshire Council has been warned against heavy-handed enforcement of a pavement parking ban ahead of it coming into effect next month. We previously reported that the new rules, which also prohibit double parking and pulling up at a dropped curb pedestrian crossing, will now be acted upon from the start of April. Attendants will be able to issue £100 fines for non-compliance. However, the charge would be halved to £50 if paid within a fortnight. While the move was approved at the local authority's Infrastructure, Land and Environment Policy Board in January, an air of trepidation remains over the level of strictness applied when it comes to the crunch. Councillor Chris Gilmore, Labour Group Environment spokesperson, said, "It's one of the tools that the council can use to make sure that pavements are kept free for people who are partially sighted, who have prams or who are going about their business and can't use the footways because of inconsiderate parking." I was pleased to hear that it wouldn't be a one and done in relation to exemptions and that they will hopefully evolve over a period of time. As we get into the enforcement, we'll discover areas that choke traffic up by putting people onto the road, simply because of the age and design of streets where the only option is to park on the pavement because people can't get through. I broadly welcome the concept, but the caveat has to be it has to evolve. There are areas that are crying out for it and others that will have to be modified. A public notification period will take place ahead of the enforcement, where awareness notices will be placed on irresponsibly parked vehicles to highlight the rules. The focus will then be directed towards known hotspots, main arterial routes and reports of dangerous parking received from members of the public. Councillor Gilmore, who represents Johnston North and the surrounding villages, added, "It's right that there is a soft approach because Renfrewshire Council has to take the public with it on this issue. It can't be heavy-handed." Exemptions can be granted at specific streets where there isn't enough space for emergency vehicles to achieve access without vehicles parking on the pavement, or where there is at least 1.5 metres for pedestrians when a vehicle is parked on the pavement. Any area being considered for dispensation will not be subject to enforcement while under review. Once an exemption order is approved by the board, it will come into effect and the locations will have relevant signage and road markings. Councillor Michelle Campbell, board convener and SNP representative for Erskine and Inchinnan, said, "We are committed to improving road safety for everyone in Renfrewshire. Parking on pavements and double parking stops people from being able to walk safely down streets by forcing them onto busy roads and is even more dangerous for people with mobility issues, visual impairments or those pushing prams. By highlighting the new rules to residents over the next 2 weeks, we hope to encourage drivers to park in line with the law to avoid the need for fines to be issued in the first place." An article written by Jack Thompson. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 17th of March. Don't price people out of the city centre. An article written by Drew Sandilands. Campaigners claimed that Glaswegians are being priced out of living in the city centre as they renewed their calls for councillors to force developers to build more affordable homes. Tenants' union Living Rent wants Glasgow City Council to implement a national policy which would require at least 25% of homes in new developments to be affordable. But council chiefs say Glasgow currently has the most successful affordable housing programme in the entire of the UK. Colm Birmingham from the union told a council committee, "We do not want luxury gated developments being built in our city centre while affordable homes are pushed to the edge." Councillor Rory Kelly, SNP member for Easterhouse and the council's housing convener, said that while everyone wants more affordable homes, it's really important that we don't have knee-jerk policy decision-making that has unintended consequences for house building of all tenures. Addressing the Economy, Housing, Transport and Regeneration Committee, Mr Birmingham said, "Our city centre is going to become unaffordable and out of reach for the majority of Glaswegians. The location of affordable housing to specific sites in the city is also acting as a barrier for affordable homes to be included in developments in other locations throughout the city." He said that rent in Glasgow has increased by 83% over the past decade, while wages have stagnated, and 36,000 people are on social housing waiting lists. Over 7,000 are in temporary accommodation, including almost 3,000 children, he added. The Living Rent representative said that affordable housing has been delivered in small areas earmarked for regeneration, which are located on the periphery of the city, like Sighthill and Easterhouse. He told councillors that the failure to implement the national policy in all new developments has exacerbated gentrification, adding, "This has brought detrimental change to the social fabric of our city, divided our communities and displaced our members." Councillor Kelly said, "Everybody has the same goals and ambitions here. We want to deliver as many social and affordable and every other tenure housing that we possibly can in the city because there is a housing emergency. There is a huge need out there." He added that there are more than 90 registered social landlords delivering homes built to the size, standards and in the locations that can best manage those. Ahead of the meeting, Living Rent members gathered outside the city chambers for a protest over the lack of affordable housing in Glasgow. Afterwards, Living Rent's Glasgow chair, Bianca Lopez, said, "It's a disgrace that the council is again refusing to implement our demands to commit to providing affordable housing in every new development across Glasgow." Councillors had a chance to deliver affordable housing throughout the city, push back on gentrification and ensure that people across Glasgow can remain in their communities. Instead, they've made it clear that they're prioritising the interests of developers who only care about making profits and not providing homes. An article written by Drew Sandilands. Glasgow Times on Monday the 17th of March. Lifestyle. New display has opened at a favourite Glasgow museum. An article written by Amy Miles. A new museum display at Glasgow's Riverside Museum focuses on South Asian seamen known as Lascars who sailed British seas and were regular figures around the city. Orchestrated by the Bangladesh Association Glasgow, the display is the latest creation of Scotland's Lascar Heritage, a lauded community-focused research effort that sheds light on the lives of these mariners. Lascars were often employed by shipping companies due to their lower wages and the need for less costly food. Being predominantly Muslim, they were also viewed as less likely to indulge in alcohol and to become involved in brawls. In Glasgow, distinct measures were taken to cater for these seamen, including specially assigned quayside toilets, a hostel and a social club at Queen's Dock. A notable architectural fragment, a cast-iron plaque from a lavatory block at Queen's Dock, which stated Lascars only in English and in Bengali, is central to the exhibit. This relic is accompanied by a range of other items, from a 1:48 scale model of the Clyde-built liner Viceroy of India, featuring miniature models of a Lascar crew, to tales of historic seafarers. These include the story of mariner Musa Ali, who unintentionally triggered the Glasgow smallpox crisis in 1950, and Abdul Fattah, a retired sailor from Sylhet in Bangladesh, who faced imprisonment by pirates in the Indian Ocean. The exhibit also features Mountain of Light, a new, vibrant film by Aksa Arif, intertwining the mythical, folkloric and historical. The project came to life with the collaborative efforts of Bangladesh Association Glasgow, Glasgow Life Museums, and youthful participants from Our Shared Cultural Heritage Initiative. It encompassed multiple creative avenues such as film, a podcast, a blog and art, all revealed in community-steered events, seminars and a concluding publication, Scotland's Lascar Heritage, investigating the lives of South Asian mariners. An article written by Amy Miles. Glasgow Times, on Monday the 17th of March. Lifestyle. Scots comic calls for increased disabled accessibility in Glasgow venues. An article written by Ben Waddell. A Scottish comedian has called on Glasgow venues to engage directly with disabled people and to improve accessibility as part of a comedy festival. James Gardner says that able-bodied comedians, audience members and venues should do more to support disabled artists and attendees as the city prepares for the Glasgow International Comedy Festival, which began on March the 12th and will run until March the 30th. Mr. Gardner of Glasgow is known for his comedy skits on TikTok, having amassed more than 30 million views online. His brother Alexander has quadriplegic cerebral palsy and is non-verbal, and has often found himself unable to attend comedy shows due to accessibility issues, including some of James' shows. Mr. Gardner's previous show, Born in a Wheelchair, was inspired by his relationship with his brother. He said, "I've performed at the Edinburgh Fringe lots of times, and I'd estimate that 90% of venues in the city are not accessible. What message does that send to disabled performers and audiences? For venues and comedians, we need to engage directly with disabled people. There needs to be a forum for communication, and we need to genuinely listen to their voices. Otherwise, decisions are being made based on second-hand experiences. The onus is on non-disabled comedians and venue operators to take action. For too long, the burden has fallen on disabled artists to push for change, but it should be non-disabled people stepping up. How many disabled people is it acceptable to exclude?" On March the 29th, Mr. Gardner will take to the stage at the Social Hub Glasgow, an accessible venue. The former Shopping Channel presenter said, "Ultimately, I'd like to perform only in venues that are fully accessible. By doing my show at the Social Hub, I can confidently say, you can come and see my show. There are railway stations nearby. You can get here easily. I know my brother can attend." I've seen firsthand how the Social Hub approaches inclusivity and diversity. It's more than just tokenism, it's something that they genuinely value. That has inspired me to think more deeply about how I can contribute to real change. The more voices that can be heard, the better. As someone who is not disabled, I recognise that disability affects everyone in some way, so we need to discuss its many aspects. He added, "I don't want to lecture people, I'm far from perfect. Born in a Wheelchair was about my own ignorance of disability, despite having a brother with complex needs. It was an eye-opening show to work on. The more we can add to the conversation and raise awareness, the better. I think people need to ask themselves, what if it were their brother, sister, mum, dad or friend? Too often, disability is dismissed as something that doesn't affect us personally. We need to be more empathetic. I understand that everyone is fighting their own battles, but we all have to decide whether we want to be part of the solution. I'm part of the problem too. I'm not performing in 100% accessible venues yet, but I'm working towards it." His latest show, Journeyman, explores his varied career, spanning numerous entertainment roles such as a television presenter, a DJ, a double-glazing salesman, a footballer, and most recently, comedy. He said, "It's essentially my life story through the lens of my jobs." One of the strangest was co-commentating on an Asian Cup qualifying match in the Philippines. It's a bit like being the Forrest Gump of stand-up comedy. People hear my stories and think, that can't be real, but there's video footage to prove it. Having done so many jobs, I feel like I can connect with audiences on a real level. There's an authenticity to it. Most people will know someone like me, someone who has blacked their way through a series of unexpected roles. Ultimately, I just love being on stage and making people laugh. Without giving too much away, my show also touches on some personal struggles. I had a breakdown during a high-pressure sales job. He added, I had 2 degrees. I bought my first house. From the outside, everything looked great, but internally I was drowning. I think the lack of pretension in my work is what resonates with people. That's probably why my content has become so popular online. An article written by Ben Waddell. Glasgow Times, on Monday the 17th of March. Opinion. Picking on disability benefits is iniquitous and bereft of principle. A column written by Mike Daly. On Wednesday, March the 26th, Chancellor Rachel Reeves will deliver her spring statement to the House of Commons, where she is expected to announce another round of public spending cuts. Liz Kendall, the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, has already trailed a possible £6 billion of cuts to disability benefits and universal credit. Universal credit payments may be reduced for those unfit for work through a work capability assessment, saving around £1 billion. Principal savings of £5 billion are expected to come from freezing the rate of personal independence payments in England and Wales. Why single out disability benefits? To do so is surely iniquitous and bereft of principle. Social Security generally rises by the annual Consumer Prices Index rate of inflation in April. That was 6.7% last year, but inflation has come down and it's around 4% this year. In Scotland, the personal independence payment has been devolved to the Scottish Government and is known as the Adult Disability Payment, while universal credit is reserved to Westminster, although the Scottish Government has some choice in the manner and timing of these payments. Precise details are expected to be published later this week in the Department of Work and Pensions Green Paper on welfare reform. The Institute of Fiscal Studies reports that 4 million people aged 16 to 64 in England and Wales claim either disability or incapacity benefits. That's 1 in 10. Numbers have increased since 2019, when the claim rate was 2.8 million. Half of this increase is from claims relating to mental health or behavioural conditions. A fifth is related to the rising state pension age and an ageing population, resulting in more ill people being recorded as of working age. Cuts to personal independence payments or other public spending in England and Wales will have a knock-on effect to Scotland by resulting in an adjustment to the Scottish Block Grant through the Barnett Formula and the Smith Agreement. What might this mean? The recent UK government cut to the winter fuel payment was calculated on a Great Britain basis, with savings of £1.3 billion in 2024-2025. This resulted in a Scottish block grant reduction of £147 million. If the UK government cuts personal independence payments by £5 billion, that could result in a loss of £565 million to the Scottish block grant. Either the Scottish Government would have to freeze its adult disability payment, resulting in a 4% cut, or find over £500 million from its other budgets. The adult disability payment is paid through Social Security Scotland to help with the costs that come with having a long-term illness or disability. Present rates of payment are between £28.70 and £184.30 a week, subject to how a health condition affects an individual. Over the weekend, there was speculation that a disability benefits freeze in England may be ditched due to a possible rebellion by Labour backbench MPs. It'll be interesting to see how this unfolds, and I'm reminded that during the vote on the winter fuel payment cuts, there was only one solitary Labour MP, John Trickett, who voted against the cuts. The language of Sir Keir Starmer and his cabinet colleagues is Britain is broke and broken, and its welfare system isn't working. These lines come straight out of the playbook of former Tory Prime Minister David Cameron 15 years ago. They were wrong then. That column was written by Mike Daly. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 17th of March. Fans locked out of the big game amid pyro fears. An article written by Ben Waddell and read by Howell. Police have revealed that 90 supporters were denied entry to Celtic Park ahead of yesterday's Old Firm clash, amid fears that some of them might set off pyrotechnics. Officers said that the group, most of whom had concealed their identity, were not granted entry to the East End Stadium after refusing to be searched under Section 60 powers. The fans were banned from the match as police believed that they posed a threat to the safety of people within the stadium and the public due to possible possession of weapons and pyrotechnics. Following this, the group was contained by officers. However, pyrotechnics were allegedly set off and caused a fire, which is said to have endangered both the public and officers. No one was injured during the incident. All 90 people are being reported to the Procurator Fiscal in relation to the contraventions of Section 60. We previously reported how police had been given greater stop and search powers for the match. From 8 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. yesterday, officers were authorised to use powers provided under Section 60 of the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act of 1994. These powers were in place in various parts of the East End, West End and the south side of the city. The legislation permits greater stop and search powers of pedestrians or those in cars, as well as allowing officers to require the removal of face coverings, which are hiding people's identities. Meanwhile, as part of the wider policing operation, there was one arrest made at yesterday's match, which ended in a 3-2 victory for Rangers. Officers said that a 20-year-old man was arrested and charged for an alleged police assault on approach to the stadium. He was subsequently released on an undertaking to appear in court at a later date. A second man, aged 46, will also be reported to the Procurator Fiscal for allegedly being in possession of a pyrotechnic. Chief Superintendent Stevie Dolan, who led the policing operation, said, "Again, the vast majority of fans were simply there to enjoy the match, and I would thank them for their good conduct. It was necessary to apply containment tactics to maintain public safety and to deal effectively with those intent on disruption or non-compliance with relevant legislation, including powers under Section 60 of the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act of 1994. As a result, some groups of supporters missed the game, but that was their choice. Our priority is and always will be the safety of fans in and around the stadium and the general public in the wider city. To support that, enforcement of Section 60 and other legislation was undertaken proportionately, with search powers being enacted in a targeted manner. Non-compliance with the Section 60 powers resulted in 90 people being reported to the Procurator Fiscal. Others have been arrested or reported for other offences, including the assault of a police officer. Despite stringent security, some supporters managed to get pyrotechnics into the stadium, with smoke billowing from the stands as they were set off. Chief Superintendent Dolan added, "A significant number of pyrotechnics were seized or prevented from entering the stadium, which again demonstrated the disregard that some supporters have for the safety of others. We will continue to work with partners, including the clubs, to improve safety and order and to ensure that the sporting event is the real focus." An article written by Ben Waddell.
From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 18th of March 2025. From the news section. A 13-year-old caught with knife in Bishopbriggs premises, and this article was written by Ben Waddell. A 13-year-old was allegedly caught with a knife in a premises in Bishopbriggs. Police were called to a report of a youth allegedly in possession of a blade within a premises on Kirkintilloch Road in the town. Officers were alerted to the incident at around 10 p.m. on Sunday, March the 9th. Cops raced to the area. After that, a 13-year-old was charged in connection. A report will be sent to the relevant authorities. A spokesperson for Police Scotland said, around 10 p.m. on Sunday, March the 9th, 2025, we were called to a report of a youth in possession of a knife within premises in Kirkintilloch Road, Bishopbriggs, Glasgow. Officers attended and a 13-year-old was charged in connection. a report will be sent to the relevant authorities. And that article was by Ben Waddell. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 18th of March 2025, from the news section. Hero police dog helped track down vulnerable Clarkston child. And this article was written by Ben Waddell. A Hero police dog helped track down a vulnerable child in Clarkston over the weekend. Police dog Obie assisted colleagues in the Force's Greater Glasgow Division in the search for a missing youngster on Saturday, March the 15th. The pooch, along with his handler, was able to help find the kid and return them safely to their family. A spokesperson for Police Scotland said, on Saturday night, police dog Obie assisted Police Scotland Greater Glasgow colleagues by tracking a vulnerable child in Clarkston. Hidden from view on a precarious ledge, PD Obie and handler ensured the child was safely returned to their family. Good job. And that article was by Ben Waddell. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 18th of March 2025, from the news section. Police frantically searching for Glasgow women who vanished. And this article was written by Ben Waddell. Police are frantically searching for a missing Glasgow woman who has vanished. Officers in Maryhill are appealing for information to help track down Florence Brooke. The 28-year-old was last seen at around 4:50 p.m. on Monday, March the 17th, on Ballornock Road in the city's north. The young woman is described as being around 5'2" tall, of heavy build, and has medium-length curly hair with white highlights and wears glasses. Police say she was last seen wearing a navy and white horizontal striped jumper, light blue jeans, and white, black and red canvas Vans shoes. Sergeant Ross McBurney at Maryhill Police Station said, "We're becoming increasingly concerned for the safety and welfare of Florence, and I'd like to speak to anyone who has seen her since 4:50 p.m. yesterday, or anyone who knows of her current whereabouts." A Police Scotland spokesperson added, "Anyone with information should contact Police Scotland via 101 and quote incident number 2441 of March the 17th, 2025. And that article was by Ben Waddell. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 18th of March 2025, from the news section. Unmasked, the gang behind theft of 14 cars across west of Scotland. And this article was written by Erin Maguire. A gang of men behind a spree of car thefts across the west of Scotland have dodged jail. Sean Macaulay, Joseph Owens, Andrew Rennie and Kevin Murray were sentenced at Greenock Sheriff Court recently, having previously pleaded guilty to charges concerning thefts which took place between December 2022 and April 2023. Despite noting his concern that a number of the men worked in the motor trade, a sheriff opted to spare them time behind bars. Macaulay, 27, admitted stealing 6 cars from locations in Glasgow, Johnston, Bishopton and Paisley, with Owens, 28, being involved in the theft of a further 5 from Cumbernauld, Glasgow, Erskine and Linwood. 25-year-old Rennie stole 1 vehicle from a property in Port Glasgow's Arran Avenue, and another 2 were taken by Murray, 34, from addresses in Paisley. The court heard that on multiple occasions Macaulay, Owens and Murray were found to have interacted with telephone masts near the locations from where the cars were stolen at times which corresponded with the thefts. A Ford Kuga taken from Arran Avenue on December the 11th, 2022 was found after police were told that it was sitting in another driveway. The owner of the property told officers he had been approached by a man named Andy who asked to store the car there while it awaited an MOT. The court also heard that a Suzuki Vitara, matching the description of a car owned by Owens, was, on several occasions, seen in areas where thefts had taken place. In one instance, on January 2023, after a Ford Kuga was taken from a property in Erskine, CCTV footage from Greenock's Glenbury Road showed the stolen car being followed by the Vitara. Fiscal Depute Maria Murdoch noted that a number of the cars which were recovered by police were found to have had the lock barrel removed from their driver's door. One owner, whose car was stolen from a garage in Bishopton in January 2023, was unable to unlock his vehicle after it was discovered on Ardmore Road in Greenock a few days later. Representing Owens, lawyer Bob Mitchell said, "If he is in prison, there would be a fairly dramatic consequences for him and his family. They would all be drastically affected." Macaulay's solicitor said his client had become associated with a negative peer group around the time he committed the offences. The court heard that Rennie had expressed remorse within a social work report after pleading to his single offence in connection with the case. Murray's lawyer told Sheriff McGeehan that though his client had a criminal record, he had managed to stay out of trouble for several years before the thefts. Sheriff McGeehan told the quartet, all from Inverclyde, "You should be in no doubt of the serious view the court takes of these offences and the serious view the court will take of any breach of the orders I intend to impose. You are all adults. You have been told about the consequences of failing to comply with community-based disposals." Owens of Bridge End Cottages, Inverkip, was ordered to carry out 195 hours of unpaid work. Macaulay of Kilmacombe Road must carry out 150 hours and was also put on a 15-week night-time curfew. Rennie of Berwick Road was sentenced to 105 hours of unpaid work, with Murray of Lothian Road being handed 120 hours. All four men will also remain under the supervision of social workers for the next 12 months. A fifth accused, Darren Arthur, will be sentenced on April the 7th after pleading guilty to one charge of reset in relation to a card dishonestly appropriated by Macaulay in January 2023. And that article was by Erin Maguire. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 18th of March 2025, from the lifestyle section. Glasgow parents hit out over lack of progress at Play Park. And this article was written by Ava White. Outraged parents believe their children are not a priority as work at a depressing play park has still not begun years after funding was secured. At a recent meeting of the Drumchapel / Anniesland Area Partnership, it was revealed that £50,000 of Scottish Government funding was allocated to renew Temple Park on Fulton Street in August 2023. Ellen Wright, Secretary of High, Knightswood and Anniesland Community Council, told the meeting that work was expected to get underway in 2024 but has not yet started. A representative from Glasgow City Council's GCC Neighbourhoods, Regeneration and Sustainability team was challenged as to why this was. They stated that the priority list for the Play Park Renewal Fund, which is said to be based on the Scottish Index of Multiple Deprivation, SIMD, had been amended in November, meaning that Temple Park had been reprioritised. This news was met with frustration from fed-up parents who see the outdoor space is not fit for purpose. One parent told a reporter, "My two have been coming here for 10 years. There used to be a tyre swing, and I used it to push them on until they'd fall asleep. Vandals set it on fire and the council took it away years ago. That's the one thing that everybody is asking to have replaced. The trampoline has big holes in it. Waynes are going to jump on it anyway. One wee boy lost his shoe in it last week and his parents had to dig to get it back. If a child's foot gets caught in one of those holes, it's going to be sore. It's just not fit for purpose. There's nothing for the younger or older kids. Even if this was an up-and-coming area, it's still not an excuse to leave the park in this state. Concerned mum Emma Lee added, "During the summer months, this park is heaving. You can't move in it. My two love coming here and I hate it because it's depressing. This could be so much better, especially with it being right next to the school. Last year, I got nearly 300 signatures on a petition to refurbish the park, and when I took it to GCC, I got palmed off. I was told we are not a priority and they're prioritising poorer areas. I'm sorry if this is the Ritz we're living in. Not everyone around here is minted. I'm not saying we're all paupers, but it's not an up-and-coming area. The whole thing needs ripped out and done again. I mean, the swings shake when the kids are on them." GCC has given the project of refurbishing 133 parks across the city a 5-year timeline, targeting areas according to child poverty levels. After the issue of Temple Park was raised with the local authority last year, it stated that the play area is being inspected on a regular basis and any repairs would be undertaken as required. However, the local community council dispute a report from GCC stating that the park is in a good condition. Ellen Wright said, "We were told the work at Fulton Street would be delivered by 2024 and not one thing has happened. The council has a duty to maintain swing parks. This one was categorised by an inspector as being in a good condition. That's not good enough. Are our children not priorities? They deserve to have a voice. Would they, the council, let their children onto this equipment? The SIMD leaves some kids behind. Keep play parks available for all of the kids. Parents feel really concerned that it is an accident waiting to happen." A GCC spokesperson said, "Our approach to investing in the city's play areas has been updated to prioritise those communities most affected by child poverty, as indicated by the available data on deprivation. The funding allocated for the renewal of the Fulton Street play area is ring-fenced and will be spent as soon as possible. However, with substantial national funding being made available for play areas, we felt it necessary to develop an approach to the programme that met other objectives of the city, which led to a focus on child poverty. When Fulton Street was first identified for investment through the play area renewal scheme, it was identified as being in good condition. We will ensure the play area is properly inspected and safe for use." And this article was written by Ava White. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 18th of March 2025. From the lifestyle section. Huge retailer to open biggest Scottish store in Silverburn. And this article was written by Ben Waddell. A huge retailer will open its biggest Scottish store in Glasgow's Silverburn this week. Zara will open its massive brand new shop in the Southside Leisure Facility on Thursday, March the 20th. In June 2024, we reported how the fashion giant was set to take over the former Debenhams unit in the centre. The brand will be relocating from its current store near Next and Boots to the new site in the middle of the shopping complex. The shop will become one of the biggest Zara's in Scotland, with 47,000 square feet of space over 2 floors. This is twice the size of the current store. On the Facebook post, Silverburn said, Scotland's biggest Zara is about to drop, opening March the 20th. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 18th of March 2025. TripAdvisor suspends comments following Duck Bay Hotel outrage. And this article was written by Morgan Carmichael. TripAdvisor has suspended comments for a Scots hotel after staff caused an outrage by refusing to help a terminally ill baby. On Monday, the Glasgow Times reported that 3-month-old Charlie, who lives with a tracheostomy, was taken to Duck Bay Hotel and Restaurant in Loch Lomond last weekend while receiving end-of-life care at Robin House Children's Hospice in Balloch. However, the Tots family were left shocked after an employee refused to let them plug in the baby's nebulizer, which turns liquid-containing medication into a mist to breathe in. Charlie's uncle, Bradley Raynham, blasted the hotel on social media after his sister and fiancé spent the day there. Taking to Facebook, he said, "It got to the time Charlie needed his nebulizer, so as the restaurant was so busy, they asked at the reception of the hotel if they could use one of the plug sockets so he could get this. While they're holding him in their arms, they were told, no, we don't do this here. Even after explaining the situation, they weren't interested one bit. They had to leave and get back to the hospice immediately so they could give him this. When going back, they've spoken to the nurse there as they were obviously upset." Bradley went on to say that the nurse at the hospice apparently called the hotel twice to try and speak with the manager, but was denied both times. The post quickly created outrage among other social media users, forcing the whole hotel into an apology. A statement from the hotel directors and management was posted on Facebook, with the establishment saying the incident was due to a junior member of staff making a mistake. Now a message has appeared on TripAdvisor, which insinuates that following the incident, the reviewing website has received an influx of non-first-hand experiences with the restaurant. The message reads, "Due to a recent event that has attracted media attention and has caused an influx of review submissions that do not describe a first-hand experience, we have temporarily suspended publishing new reviews for this listing. If you've had a first-hand experience at this property, please check back soon. We're looking forward to receiving your review." And that article was written by Morgan Carmichael. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 18th of March 2025. From the Lifestyle section. Well-known rock band to host Glasgow gig as part of UK tour. And this article was written by Ben Waddle. A well-known rock band will host a gig in Glasgow as part of their UK tour this year. Christian experimental folk rock and worship band Rend Collective will perform at the O2 Academy in the South Side on Saturday, September the 15th. The Northern Irish group, which was formed in 2007, is made up of Chris Llewellyn, Stephen Mitchell, Will Pearce, Jonathan Chu and Daniel Jones. They are best known for their tunes, including My Lighthouse, Counting Every Blessing, Build Your Kingdom Here and Rescuer. Tickets for their Glasgow show will go on sale from Friday, March the 21st at 10 a.m. And that article was by Ben Waddle.
This is from the Glasgow Times on the 19th of March 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, Glaswegians warned of trend in violent acts in popular tourist spot. This article is by Amy Miles. Holidaymakers have been cautioned about a surge in violent anti-tourism acts in Tenerife, with 3 incidents reported in the past fortnight. Glaswegians visiting the Canary Islands are being warned of a growing trend of destructive behaviour as activists and locals expressed their discontent with the impact of mass tourism. A disturbing video has circulated online depicting individuals smashing windows and setting fire to rental cars in southern Tenerife, owned by the local car rental firm Sycar, reports Glasgow Live. The footage has been shared by various social media accounts run by environmental and anti-tourism activists. The video was posted with a message stating, "We have received a video from Canadian activists fed up with mass tourism, overcrowding in their neighbourhoods, and the lack of distribution of the supposed wealth generated by tourism." National Police are currently investigating the damage inflicted on 20 rental cars last week, which is believed to be the work of activists. Roberto Mesa, an activist who shared the video, claimed that the peaceful avenues have been exhausted, although he denied any involvement in the incidents, stating he doesn't know where it came from. Mesa explained that the local population is frustrated with being ignored and having their peaceful protests dismissed. He noted that in the past 2 weeks, 3 actions that were not common in the Canary Islands have taken place, sparking concerns among tourists and locals alike. The town of Costa Adeje became the canvas for provocative graffiti, with spray-painted messages taunting the population to kill a tourist, which emerged in a car park known to be used by rental companies. The activist message was stark and forthright. "We have nowhere to park, nor anywhere to live in peace," alongside their criticism of the abundance of vehicles, with a direct statement, "We don't need more roads, just fewer rental cars." He forewarned with grave concern, "Unfortunately, I think things will get worse if there's no change." This article was by Amy Miles. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 19th of March 2025, from the news section, and the headline reads, "Man found hiding under car after police chase on M74. This article is by Ben Waddle. A man was found hiding under a car after a police chase on Glasgow's M74 motorway. On Monday, March 17th, at around 8:30 p.m, traffic cops spotted a vehicle allegedly driving at speed on the major road. After that, officers claimed the vehicle reacted to their presence and failed to stop. It was then pursued into the Cambuslang area in South Lanarkshire before being stung by the force's stinger device. Police say the driver then allegedly made off on foot into nearby gardens. However, he was found hiding under a car. The 32-year-old driver, a man, was then allegedly found to be wanted on a recall to prison, disqualified from driving, in possession of drugs and a knife, and reportedly refused to provide roadside samples for drugs and alcohol. Meanwhile, cops claimed the motor was found to be an outstanding stolen car and displayed cloned number plates. The motorist was due to appear at Glasgow Sheriff Court on Tuesday, March 18th. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "Around 8:30 p.m. on Monday, March 17th, 2025, Glasgow Road Policing sighted a vehicle driving at speed on the M74. The vehicle reacted to our presence and then failed to stop. It was pursued into the Cambuslang area, where the pursuit was concluded, when the vehicle tyres were deflated via one of our stinger devices. The driver made off on foot into nearby gardens, however, was quickly captured hiding under a car. The 32-year-old male driving the car was found to be wanted on a recall to prison, disqualified from driving, in possession of drugs and a knife, and refused to provide roadside samples for drugs and alcohol. The vehicle was found to be an outstanding stolen car and displayed cloned number plates. The driver spent a night in a room with no view and appeared at Glasgow Sheriff Court on Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. Meanwhile, on Tuesday, March 18th, at around 7 p.m, cops attended reports of a stolen car being potentially parked in the Ibrox area of Glasgow. Officers conducted an extensive area search and found 3 motors which had recently been nicked from different parts of the city. The vehicles were recovered. Police said they will now undergo a forensic exam and be returned to their rightful owners. The spokesperson added, around 7 p.m. on Tuesday, March 18th, 2025, Glasgow Road Policing attended reports of a stolen car potentially being parked in the Bishopbriggs area. Officers conducted an extensive area search and we recovered 3 vehicles which had recently been stolen from different parts of the city. They were recovered, will undergo a forensic exam and be returned to the rightful owner. This article was by Ben Waddle. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 19th of March 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Pensioner avoided jail after she stabbed husband in bed." This article is by a Glasgow Times reporter. A pensioner, who is one of Scotland's oldest knife attackers after she stabbed her husband of 50 years as he lay in bed, avoided jail today. Annie Hillen, 84, also tried to smother James Hillen, 81, with a pillow at their flat in Glasgow's Thornwood on August 4th, 2022. James was struck on the shoulder but managed to disarm his wife before she came at him again with another blade. Helen later stated to the police she was disappointed she had not killed him. The pensioner had been due to stand trial accused of attempted murder. But instead, Helen pleaded guilty to the reduced charge of assaulting her husband to his injury and danger of life. Judge Tom Hughes said at the High Court in Paisley, "I make it abundantly clear to you that you face an extremely serious charge. It is a charge which involved an attack on your husband. From the information available to me, this was something you thought about and planned, then proceeded to carry out in an attempt to injure your husband. It is very fortunate he did not sustain far more serious injuries, notwithstanding that what happened was serious." The judge remarked that Helen had made progress in dealing with her alcohol and mental health issues. He further stated that Helen had not caused difficulties at the supported accommodation where she now resides. Judge Hughes added, "When this court faces the situation of someone in your position of having a robust, non-custodial option, this is the one the court must take. Helen was put under supervision for 3 years and tagged her for 1 year, keeping her indoors between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. The court heard that the couple had lived together at a 3-bedroom flat in the city's West End. Both had health issues. James had recently returned home at the time from a spell in the hospital. Hours before the attack, prosecutor Isabella Ennis, KC, said the pair had a disagreement. James eventually retired to bed in the room he separately used. Miss Ennis then stated that, around midnight, Helen went to her husband, having collected a kitchen knife and a pillow en route. The advocate depute said she approached him in his bed and stabbed his right shoulder while attempting to smother him. James Helen took the pillow off his wife and the knife from his shoulder before he threw both away. She left the bedroom but returned with a second kitchen knife, which she again wielded at her husband. She succeeded only in scratching his left arm before he took this weapon and threw it away also. James managed to telephone their daughter for help and said Helen had attacked him. Helen left the flat in her pyjamas and socks. She told a neighbour that she had stabbed her husband, but that he was still alive. This person said he would call the police. Helen stated fine, and that she wanted taken away by them. Miss Ennis said, on the way to the police station, Helen was advised that her husband was unlikely to die as a consequence of the injuries. She expressed disappointment and regret that she had not succeeded in killing him. The court heard he fortunately only suffered a small wound to his shoulder area, which he was treated for at hospital. Helen, meantime, was medically examined and had a psychiatric assessment at the Rowan Bank Clinic in Glasgow before being discharged. She is currently subject to strict bail conditions at a residential care home. The court heard James stated he could not continue to reside with Helen. Miss Ennis said she considers that her marriage may still yet be saved and that she may return to her jointly owned property. However, a lifetime non-harassment order was granted at sentencing. Tony Lenihan, KC, defending, earlier told the hearing that his client regrets the offence and had suffered in the relationship. The advocate added, she is socially isolated and she has lost the relationship which they had for many years and was of value to her. A review of Helen's community payback order will take place at the High Court in Glasgow in October. This article was by a Glasgow Times reporter. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 19th of March 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Students take over Glasgow University building amid protest." This article is by Rosie Lewis. A group of students have taken over a Glasgow University building amid a protest. 30 students have occupied the Charles Wilson building at the University of Glasgow this morning. The bunch of pupils are insisting they will not leave until the education institution commits to sever all ties with the arms industry and enforces an academic boycott on Israel and its supporters. The occupation is part of an ongoing student campaign coordinated by the Glasgow University Justice for Palestine Society, GUJPS, a student activist group. The society claims the university's £6.8 million of investments in arms companies such as BAE Systems make it complicit in war crimes, including the genocide in Palestine, where Glasgow University alumnus Dima Al-Haj and her 6-month-old baby were killed. A Palestinian student occupying the building said, "I'm here today because Western institutions cannot keep profiting off the blood of my people in Palestine with immunity. As students of conscience, we're here to hold this shamelessly complicit university accountable and show them that no repressive action they take will deter us from fighting for Palestinian liberation." Another student said, "They invest over £6 million in the murderous arms industry, including over £1 million in BAE Systems, who make missile systems for F-35 fighter jets, the same jets Israel used in its genocidal bombardment of Palestinians in Gaza. Enough is enough. We will not leave this building until the university makes a firm, public commitment to divest from these merchants of death." Glasgow University has been contacted for comment. This article was by Rosie Lewis.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels, to Attitude and Review, and to tell your friends about our service.